The math, the math. You know, everything is the math. That's for sure. Everything is numbers. Everything is math, for sure. And I think that's how we could possibly find the binary star. There may be more than one. There may be more than one binary, but I'm pretty sure we have one. And we may have two. Thank you again, Jeff, for the super chat. That's really cool. You're very kind. You're very intelligent. You have a memory like a steel trap. Oh, these are some of the, oh yeah, this is what I'm showing you guys right now. I put this together earlier this morning. These are locations that I've received these weird flashing lights that go along with the question. I can only do 100 letters, so I was going to add something else on there, but it wouldn't let me. But you can see Canada, US, you're looking at Ireland, the United Kingdom, Europe, New Zealand coming up. Here's Australia, even Western Australia, Hawaii, my goodness, Singapore and Malaysia. There's Europe. Got quite a few out of Europe. There's one lone one out here in Bermuda. And there's another lone one right here on the island of Cyprus. Can you believe that? Down here in South Africa. This one here was one of the most bizarre by far. Look at those. These are all Tesla vehicles. I don't know. What do you think? There's probably 100 there. This is just one parking lot. There's another parking lot over here to the left. And all the lights, for whatever reason. Oh, here's another one too. I forgot about this one. So there's a small lot over here on the right. The main lot in the middle. And then there's a lot to the left. And the lights are just all going haywire. And these obviously aren't connected to any power grid. They're self-sufficient. They supply their own power. Now there's another parking lot over here. He's going to make a little tour around this whole parking lot. But yeah, probably between 100 and 200 of these things flickering for whatever reason. So yeah, guys, that Q&A, we're going to have to work on that. But what the Q&A was basically, I was just trying something different. We're going to have to work on that because it didn't give me the options to put all the choices down there that I wanted to. So I'm going to stop that right now. But what it was, it kind of tied into this video right here and the one coming up. There's the lot to the left. These cars were all over the place. I've got some more extreme examples. Not that this isn't completely bizarre. This is off the hook. There's the one over there to the left. There's probably 100 vehicles over there by themselves, all doing the same thing. What caused them to do that, you know? Here's an extreme example out of San Antonio. Look at that. Big, huge parking lot. Probably 10-acre parking lot full of lights. Obviously, the purple lights are a magnesium strip that goes bad on the lights. We get that, but why do they all go bad at the same time? You know, that's the mystery here. And here's miles of them. That's why I asked there, EMP, maybe did an EMP cause these lights to malfunction? Because there's several miles here. Chip Snyder shared this video. This is from Florida. Florida's been a hot spot of this type of activity. Las Vegas, as you're going to see right here, multiple buildings. And these aren't bulbs. They couldn't be bulbs. These are signs on buildings that are completely unrelated. See the bulbs over there on the sign on the buildings over here, and then the buildings on the right. Inside of that building, these buildings are unrelated. They're on separate circuits. Has to be the electricity that supplies this plaza, right? I'm just trying to use common logic here because common sense would tell us that all these bulbs aren't going to go bad at the same time. And then there's even a parking lot bulb that's going bad. So it's almost as if, and then look at the inside of this building here. And this was one person at one location caught all of that activity. Who was this again? George, May of 2025. So just a little less than 2 months ago. It's still going on. I've gotten videos from yesterday. I'm sure there'll be some more in there from tomorrow, from all over the world. And then the inside of the building, those lights right there, those look like, obviously I don't know because I'm not there, but they look like the long 48-inch fluorescent bulbs, you know, the old school bulbs. That's what they look like. And I know that the ballast can go bad on those. I used to change ballasts on those types of lights when I was a teenager in high school at my very first job. Every once in a while, those bulbs would go bad at the place that I worked, and sometimes the ballast would go bad. The ballast is a black rectangle, at least it was back then, about that big and about that thick, and it controlled the flow of electricity to the bulbs. And sometimes I would have to replace the ballast. I did that as a teenager. But I never once saw the bulbs flickering like that or like this, the power going completely off. This is like something you would see out of a movie. Look at that. Like all of a sudden, all the power goes off. The whole building loses power. So that's, again, not a bulb issue, right? So what's causing this? That's what my Q&A was about, you know. Is it solar activity? Is it an EMP or a collection of different types of EMTs or EMPs from maybe the Earth's core, from the sun, maybe something else? Or is it something else? Dirty electricity caused by an EMP? Is it the grid itself having issues caused by something other than an EMP? There's Pat S., been a member for 19 months. Thank you, Pat S. Appreciate your support. That is so cool. Pat S. is a Star family member. You can become a Star family member by clicking on the link down below in the description box. That's really cool. Thank you, Pat. Good to see you. But yeah, right here, that's almost kind of eerie. And that's why the viewers stopped their car and started recording, because it was so weird. Like right here. This is just way, it's just too far from norm. You know what I mean? I've never seen this. Now, Mason City, Iowa, Vanetta. This goes back to January. It's still relevant, though, because it's just another example of the hundreds. I'm over 1,800 now. 1,800 globally. Unbelievable. They're still coming in every day. Well, it's not stopping, so that tells me that these lights, whatever story they're trying to tell us, they're still telling it. Stephanie out of Memphis, Tennessee. This entire complex, watch the lights on the front of all of these buildings that she's driving around. And this is obviously what compelled her to take the video, was the malfunctioning lights at this entire complex. It looks like an apartment complex. Yeah, look at all of them. Second floor, first floor, lights malfunctioning. So, holy cow, Hillary there. I see the big red up there. Thank you, Hillary. Love the live checks. Could these flickering lights possibly, let me pause this, Hillary. Good question. Could these flickering lights possibly be due to the destruction of underground bunkers or maybe solar flares? Also, what do you think about the looking glass technology? Those are great questions, and thank you for the super chat. Let me give you a thumbs up right there, Hillary. Hold on, Hillary. Okay. Very cool. The bunkers. I don't know. I do know there's a whole aspect of life underground that I know a little bit about. I'm not involved with anybody that's building bunkers. I spoke with a man that was in the military, and you heard this from yesterday's live stream. Here's another example real quick, Hillary, then I'll get right back to you. Thanks for the super chat. The wall is red now. Very cool. Another example of an entire complex with flashing lights. Ira McCoy out of Baltimore, Maryland. He shared this video, and this is obviously what compelled him to take the video, was the mysterious flashing lights at the entire complex. Hold on just a minute. I'm telling you. Just a minute. Yeah, the entire complex, Hillary. all of these bulbs, more than likely, common logic tells us wouldn't have went bad at the same time. There was an issue more than likely with the power supply feeding these lights and all the exterior lights. Back to your question, Hillary, and the red wall over there, that's too cool. You guys are too kind. Actually, it's kind of a pinkish color. But yeah, Ira McCoy, underground bunkers, or maybe the solar flares. Like, it could be a combination of both. And another thing too, like when the solar activity is low, I'm still getting the flickering lights, this weird, it's just weird. I get it. It's weird. And I'm staying on it because I genuinely feel in wholeheartedly that these lights are trying to tell us a story. Is it because of something to do with underground bunkers? Are they pulling electricity like Hillary? I think what you might be implying, Hillary, are they pulling electricity underground, and is that causing malfunctioning electricity above ground? Very good question. And you just made me think of that. I didn't think of that until just now. That is a great thought. You know, I've seen dams on Google Earth up in the mountains, like in the Rocky Mountains, where there shouldn't be dams. You know, and I'm like, oh, okay. Those dams are providing electricity for something underground. If you ever kind of just browse around the mountains of the Rockies, you'll see every once in a while dams just out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a river. And they are providing electricity for something underground. So could that be taking away from our electricity above ground and causing these wonky things like we're seeing right here? It's a good possibility, Hillary. I'm leaning more towards, just based off what I'm seeing, because I'll still see on some days a big increase in these weird flashing lights. When there's no solar activity, no solar storms or CMEs interacting with the Earth. Here's Toledo, Ohio. Joel, you can see pulled up on this parking lot. Lights just everywhere. They're malfunctioning. It's like they got a brief. Look at this here. This is a good example. This is in Mexico. It's like they got doused with a large quantity, maybe small, who knows, of dirty electricity. Electricity that's not clean. It's got an electromagnetic component to it that causes the things that it supplies power to malfunction. Especially light bulbs, TV monitors. I've even seen cell phones. And it almost has to be some sort of an airborne technology. Maybe not, but it's happening on solar equipment too. I've seen solar things malfunctioning. Look at this here. Holy cow, Mr. Smith. Now we got green walls over here. Way to go. Thank you for the super chat. Mr. Smith, Birkeland current. Oh, yeah, you know about the Birkeland currents too, huh? They're buzzing around the planet all the time. You're right. Birkeland current's going wacky. The red and blue Kachinas, satellites confirmed. Let's see, let me get back to the... I like it when you guys paint the wall over here. You guys are cool. Satellites confirmed, sun flyby, 427, 2025 fast movers. Seeing them, daily mag chaos. Oh, the blue and red Kachina. I ain't too sure. I didn't see the blue and red Kachina, my friend, back in 2012. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but I saw, and you're not supposed to be able to see supernova or pulsars with the naked eye from the ground, but I can assure you that I did back in 2012. And you know who else did? My wife. I saw this with the naked eye, and Mr. Smith, it was red and blue. And I saw it one night. It was in March 12th. I saw it March 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 7 nights in a row. 13th through the 19th, something like that, 2012. Saw it from 9:34 p.m. to 10:08 p.m. I'll never forget it. It left that kind of impression on me. And when I first saw it, it was a blue flash in the sky. I'm like, whoa, what was that? It wasn't real big, but it was bright enough to see. It was a clear night, 9:34 p.m., because I looked at my phone when it happened. It's just something I always do. If I see something that's maybe a little unusual, I don't care what it is. I'll look at my clock to have a time, something to refer to. No different that night. But it was a blue flash, unlike a man-made light. It was different, you know what I mean? It was like a jagged cloud. To be perfectly honest with you, it was a jagged cloud. I'm trying to find something for size reference. About the size of the tip of that pin right there. But up in the sky, that clicker, about that big. But a jagged cloud, blue. And then 3 minutes and 30 seconds later, I'd see a red one, about that big, way up in the southeastern sky, to the left of the head of Hydra, the head of the serpent, constellation Hydra. There's the star Alphard. Alphard is the top star of the big constellation Hydra. It was just to the left, 3 degrees to the left of the star Hydra. You can look it up on any star map and you can confirm what I'm telling you. And what I'm telling you is true. You have Hydra, then you have Sextans, and you have Leo. And it was in between Leo and Hydra, but closer to the star Alphard. Saw it for 4 years, the red and blue sequence, only for 1 week at a time, between 9:34, you could set your clock by it, I mean like clockwork. 9:34 to 10:08 was your viewing window opportunity. The second week of March, and I saw it in 2012. That was the first time I saw it with the naked eye. I wasn't looking for anything. I was just standing out back. And the third night, I went out there the second night out of curiosity, because that night I stayed out there until I couldn't see it anymore. 3 minute, 30-second intervals. It would be blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. Then at 10:08, you couldn't see it anymore. So that told me that, well, I didn't know until like the 7th night. I figured out, okay, the Earth's rotation and forward movement is making the window get smaller and smaller and smaller, because the first night I saw it like 8 times, okay? The second night I saw it 7 times. The third night I asked my wife to come outside and take a look. And I wanted to make sure, that's why I waited until the third night, because I didn't want her coming outside and looking at a dark patch of sky for no reason. So she did come out, and she says, what am I looking at? Because it was like 9:30, and I said, just be patient. Just look at this dark patch of sky. You know, I felt kind of foolish at first, because she looked at me like, well, what am I looking for? I said, just wait. Well, lo and behold, it came back. There it was, right on schedule, 9:34.5. Poof. The red cloud. It was red this time. Actually, it started off, no, when it started off with her, it was red. It was a red, jagged cloud, like a nebula, but about this size right here, but easily visible with the naked eye, if you knew where to look. And she was looking in the right place. And then she said, oh my gosh, what was that? And I said, good question. I've been watching it for 2 nights. So then she was intrigued. She was captivated by it. She goes, what was that? And I'm like, I don't know, but it's been in the same place for 2 nights in a row. So she stayed out there until 10:08. And at 10:08, you wouldn't see it anymore after 10:08. Saw that for 3 years, and it was a red and blue rotating jagged cloud that was on a 3 minute and 30-second interval, and you could only see it for 7 nights. And then you'd have to wait until next year. And that's when I confirmed that we are indeed orbiting the star on an exact 365-day cycle, because it was 365 days from the first time I saw it until I saw it again next year. 365 days. So it was the forward movement of the Earth and the window closing. But it was very real, and I could see it with the naked eye. So yeah, these things are probably real, and it depends on your interpretation, you know, of the Kachina. I don't know what it was that we saw. I did a lot of research on it after that, because it was super intriguing. It led me to pulsar, led me to obviously supernova, neutron star, things like that. But trust me, you don't need a telescope to see those things. At least not that one. Holy cow. Okay. Sorry about that, guy. back to the questions. If you guys have any questions, send them through to a super chat. Thank you for all the comments and everything. I'm trying to get back to Hillary's question. Where's it at? It is right there. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Thank you, Hillary. You guys got the wall green and pink right now. Let's see Hillary's question. I forgot what it was. I'm sorry, Hillary. Love the live checks. Could you beat the flickering lights due to destruction of underground bunkers? Yeah, maybe, because you know they had power underground, so maybe that's caused some domino effect issues in the power grid. I feel that something is influencing the power grid 100%. You know, solar flares. Also, would think about the looking glass technology. I'm assuming you're talking about the AI stuff and all that. I don't know. I'm. It's, you know, it's like anything new. You know, we all kind of like a little hesitant of change and things like that at first, but yeah, I don't know about all this AI. I kind of feel it's gonna help humanity in ways, but then again, it's gonna take a lot of jobs that humans do. It already is. You know, you can tell if when you get a call. I think that's a lot of these robocalls that we're getting. And I'm sure you guys are getting them as well. These machines, they're just calling numbers just constantly. And I bet you between my wife and I, we get 10 a day. 10 a day. It's unbelievable. I don't remember ever getting that many, you know, spam type of calls until all this AI stuff started coming out. And you can tell, like when you call certain places, you know, let's say you're calling a place to make a reservation for dinner, something simple as dinner. You can tell if it's AI, and they're pretty good. There's a slight hesitation, and they have no sense of humor. You know, they don't recognize humor yet, you know. If you can say, wow, it was colder than a blankety blank 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 today, they don't get it, you know. They'll be like, yes, it was 70 degrees, you know, blah, 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 you know. So they don't have a sense of humor. That's how you can check if you're talking to a real person or an AI. And there's that slight delay because they have to process what you're saying in order to give you an appropriate response. So they're out there. It's everywhere. I don't know what to think about all that. You know, it's just change. Sometimes change is good, but the aspect I see is I don't know. I don't know if I like it. But it's not up to me, is it? Look at the lights here flashing again. This is wild and crazy. This is a location in Mexico. You're looking at probably 2.5 blocks of lights just flickering. And obviously that's what compelled him to take the video. How often do you see 2.5 blocks, maybe 3 blocks of random houses and buildings just pulsating? Why? Why? I saw a video out of, here's another example. This looks like something you'd see out of a movie, right? Tulsa, Oklahoma. This video was sent in by Jessica Rose. Came up on this part of town in Tulsa, and it looks like something you'd see in a you know, scary movie or whatever. The lights were flickering in the downtown area, and it was abandoned like a ghost town, and what electricity was left was just kind of barely flickering on and off. You know, it does look like a ghost town. There's nobody there, and the lights are flickering on and off. It's like everybody booked. Where did they go? You know. But yeah, there's another prime example, and that's what compelled her to take the video. Was the bizarre flashing lights. So, you know, the theories right now are running wild as to what's causing this. I think the general consensus, though, is most people aren't on board anymore with defective bulbs. At first, yeah, I mean, I had a lot of people saying, you know what, dude, those are just defective bulbs, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that. Well, in fact, I didn't agree with that because I saw too many come in from too many different parts of the world, you know, in let's just say a week. And you guys saw the map. A guy from Cyprus, the United Kingdom, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Southern Australia, Singapore, Malaysia. I mean, all over the place.